Welcome to Corrections Mama 27 channel. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and smash the like button. When you watch the videos all the way through and you subscribe and you hit the like button and comment, it helps the channel a lot. And I appreciate everybody that has subscribed already and everybody that's watched the videos. So this is another portion we're going to do on disciplinary procedures. This is how the disciplinary procedures run. These are the rules on our side, I guess. It says here, this is the book I'm going from, in case you haven't seen the other videos. This is a book that inmates get, and then I also got, I can't believe I still have this book. It was revised in 1991, so it's old. Things might have changed, but I have a feeling with Texas, there may have been some changes, but they're probably pretty close to the same. So it says here, all inmates within the Department of Criminal Justice, Texas Criminal Justice, the division of TDCJ, are required to obey the rules and regulations and the institutional division outlined in this rule book. A copy of this rule book will be made and available to every inmate in the institution division. Spanish translations and rule book will be provided for those inmates whose primary language is Spanish. In addition, the rules will be explained to those inmates who are illiterate or whose primary language is neither English or Spanish. All right, so basically, there's no excuse for not knowing the rules. If you say in a hearing, well, I didn't know, that's no excuse. You're still going to be held accountable. If any inmate violates a rule of the institutional division, he or she may be punished. All disciplinary rules for which the prisoner may be punished must be in written form, must provide adequate notice and the conduct prohibited, and must be adequate, distributed, or posted. The following rules outline the procedures that must be followed when an inmate violates the TDCJ rules. So this is also where I feel that they're very fair and consistent. It says here, number 1, general rule. Keep in mind, this is the first thing that they list as a guide to officers. It says, when TDCJ employee witnesses or has knowledge of any act by an inmate which is in violation of the rules and regulations of the institutional of TDCJ, the employee first and will attempt, if appropriate, we'll talk about that, to resolve the matter informally. Such informal resolution may include counseling, verbal reprimand, and the giving of an instruction, warning, or an order. Okay, let me break this down. So the first attempt, if appropriate. So what would be appropriate? What wouldn't be appropriate? So maybe if an inmate's out of place, they're not where they're supposed to be, depending on if they're ditching their job or school or how serious it is. If they're just messing around doing something in the bathroom that's not a bathroom type activity, then you could give them a warning and say, look, you're not supposed to be here. Now, if you're in the bathroom hiding, sitting with your feet up on the toilet hiding during count time to slip me up for count, you're getting a ticket for that. You're not getting a warning, all right? Because that reflects badly on me, and interfering with institutional count is it's a serious charge. Inmates would do that all the time. They would hide and try to mess up your count, because sometimes we get in trouble for that if we don't catch it. So I could be walking down the run on this side counting, and then after I pass, an inmate on this side will sneak over to another cell or creep over and crawl over to the bathroom. They used to do this all the time. I didn't understand why they always trying to mess up our count. It was just a game the female inmates would play, and I would write them a ticket for it. I wouldn't even give them an informal resolution. I was a stickler about count. It's the most important thing we do. But anyway, so if they're fighting and somebody's getting hurt, or it's a fight or anything like that, a physical fight, there's certain things you cannot informally resolve. You get a ticket, period. One of them is count, and one of them is fighting. Now, if it's some kind of silly BS, whatever, then of course, you talk to them and you counsel them first. You make an attempt to resolve it. If they start arguing with you and giving you a bunch of shit, okay, now it's not really able to informally resolve this because you're disagreeing with me and arguing with me and making this a bigger deal than it is. If I'm telling you, look, knock it off, go back to your cell, stop doing that, then just say yes, ma'am, and move on. If you want to argue with me and debate it and, act crazy, then you're just going to get a ticket. Because apparently you're not taking my word for it that that's not allowed. So if you're not going to take my word for it and fix it, then I will send you to disciplinary and you can sort it out there and find out for yourself. It's not going to be tolerated, right? That's kind of, how I looked at the informal resolution. Also, they said it could also be a verbal reprimand. So to me, a verbal reprimand would say, listen, inmate Jones, if you do this again and I catch you, you're getting a ticket. But I'm going to let you off the hook right now, but don't do it again. And I did that often. Also, you can give them instruction, or you can give them a warning or an order, which that's kind of an order is if I say, Jones, knock that off. Stop that right now. Or I give them an order to change the behavior, or I tell them, go to your house, cool off, whatever. I could also just let that go too. So, and I did that often. I didn't write people up all the time. I did sometimes in Arizona. I think I wrote them up more because the inmates in Arizona they didn't care. They didn't seem to care about tickets. They kind of did whatever and told you off pretty much. So, but in Texas, the inmates did care about a ticket. And if they weren't sure if they were getting a ticket or not, and they knew what they did was wrong, they would come up to me and apologize. So, if the incident cannot be handled informally by the observing employee, he or she will bring the matter to the attention of the supervising officer on duty. The supervising officer will also attempt, if appropriate, to resolve the matter informally by counseling or verbal reprimand. So if it was a little bit more serious or whatever, I would call the supervisor and say, hey, Sergeant Sawyer, inmate Jones is doing this or that, and I've talked to her, she's not listening, I'm going to write her a ticket. And he'll say, yeah, all right, go ahead, write the ticket. And then he would sign off on it. Basically, we would just let them know, so we would know if they were going to sign off on it or not, so we didn't waste our time. Then I would sit at the table in the dorm and do the ticket. Sometimes the inmates would walk by and see you writing the ticket and apologize and fix their behavior. Sometimes I would rip it up, and sometimes I would be like, nope, this is a problem with you over and over, and I'm really done with it. So, 2, if the supervising officer cannot resolve the incident informally, a disciplinary report will be written by the charging officer. Formally charging the inmate with violating a TDCJ rule. So it's formal disciplinary write-up. A, the report will be written in the appropriate disciplinary report form. B, the report will include the following information: the accused inmate's name, ID number, whatever. I don't think we need to go through all of this because I think we've went through the forms and that explains everything. It had to have my name, the time, the date, the inmate's name, the inmate's number, the inmate's housing area, the inmate's job. The job and information and stuff is important because, one, if there's a hearing, they know where to find the inmate at their job. Or two, if it's a job-related type of ticket, they can decide whether or not they lose their job or not and move them to a better job. Oh my God, sorry. It's all rainy outside, so I feel like I'm kind of tired because of the rain. The rain makes me sleepy. Anyway, so all that information is needed. And there's times when I put my name and information down, they want to know your time card, what shift you're working and all that. So if I put my time card there, like I'm on card C, they will look up my days off, see when I'm working, and they'll call me. And they'll ask me some questions sometimes, if they have any questions. So that's pretty the same, basic information. C, the report need not include reporting officer's signature and the date of the signature, so as long as the reporting officer has signed and dated. A form that includes and dated the form maintains the inmate's unit classification file and as appropriate. Classification of hearing, minor versus major. So, a minor disciplinary hearing means processing less serious rule infractions. In accordance to the rule book, a minor disciplinary hearing cannot result in the inmate position of the following major penalties: punitive segregation. So if it's minor, you're not going to go to punitive segregation. You're not going to lockdown. You're not getting a reduction in class or loss of good time or conduct and retention in the line class 3. And for death row inmates, cell restriction or loss of restriction and privileges, additionally, a minor hearing cannot result in the imposition of monetary damages due to damage and destruction of state property. And the administrative segregation inmates, cell restrictions or loss of recreation privileges. Should an inmate be found not guilty or be found guilty of a minor hearing, that finding of guilt will not preclude the inmate from being reviewed or considered for promotion and class restoration of good conduct time. So basically, if you get a minor ticket, you're probably just going to lose rec. You might lose commissary time. You might get cell restriction, but you're not going to lose all your good time and stuff like that. So number 2, a major hearing of an administrative hearing presided by over the unit disciplinary hearing officer. The process is serious rule violations in accordance to the provisions of those rules related to major hearings. An inmate shall not be given any major punishment without a major hearing. So if you get charged with a major charge, there will be a hearing and you do have to attend. Because they're going to be considering you for loss of good time. And the conduct time credits after 3 months penalty. In any event, the review must be conducted within 6 months of the date of the inmate's most recent disciplinary infraction. So you got to be good for 6 months. You shouldn't be getting multiple minor or medium charges. If you keep getting tickets, they can roll those tickets. Your third one could be like a major ticket if you get several minors. So anyway, 3, the final decision on whether disciplinary hearing will be classified as a major or minor will be made if the officer in charge, the building major or captain, decide. Their decision will be based on the following factors: the nature and seriousness of the offense. The level 3 violation is more apt to proceed in pursuant to a minor hearing than a level 1 violation. The inmate disciplinary history, and a period of time since the inmate's last rule violation. So if you get a ticket, the disciplinary officer is going to look at your history. Do you get in trouble a lot? Have you had a ticket within 6 months or 3 months? If you had a ticket, 2 tickets within 6 months, they can actually elevate your ticket, to a more serious level. So they want to know what your disciplinary history is and how long you've had before you've gotten in trouble again. Makes sense, right? Pre-hearing detention. An inmate charged or suspended, an inmate charged or suspected of a disciplinary violation may be placed on a pre-hearing detention without notice or hearing only by the warden, assistant warden, or their designee, and only the inmate falls into one of these categories. So the warden or assistant warden can just say, that's it. And this is the criteria. If you're escape risk, if his or her presence in the population would create a threat to the physical safety of other inmates or staff. 3, it is necessary to maintain integrity and an investigation to preserve the integrity of information, either the inmate's possession or another inmate's possession. Time limits. Whenever possible, the hearing shall be held within 72 hours of the inmate's placement in segregation. So if you do something really serious and they think you're an escape risk, or they think that other people are in danger because of something you did, they can cuff you up immediately and put you in segregation. But when they do that, they have to give you a hearing within 72 hours. So they're not going to write a ticket that's major if they think those things are at risk, and then leave you in general population for you to do more damage, or to cause problems. They're going to intercede immediately. 2, if the inmate has not had a disciplinary hearing within the 10 days, he or she shall be released from pre-hearing detention immediately, provided with a hearing pursuant in Section 4 of the Administrative Segregation Plan to determine if the criteria for the security detention or protective custody are met. So they can also snatch you up and put you in segregation. Segregation is kind of like a 1 or 2 man cell, where you're isolated, and it's a max. So they can't keep you there forever without a hearing. But they can, in some cases, it says here, hearing detention for the purpose of preserving the integrity of the investigation, they can get an extension. Okay, so then there's a physical examination. The inmate who is determined by the warden, assistant, or warden and their designee required to be placement into pre-hearing detention, and who has no apparent medical problems and may be placed in pre-hearing detention without prior medical evaluation. However, an inmate placed in pre-hearing detention without a prior medical evaluation must be evaluated as soon as possible and no later than 12 hours after the placement in segregation by the qualified health care provider in accordance with the health services. So that's in policy number 3-17. So basically, if they think it is that serious, they have to have you evaluated by a psychiatrist to make sure you don't have any mental illness or mental stuff going on. And they basically screen you medically to make sure that, you don't have any mental health or medical issues that could be causing you to act out and behave this way. So number 3 is minor disciplinary hearing procedures. I think we're going to go use that one on the next. That is what I'm going to use for the next one. Then it goes into penalties. And then we'll go into hearings for death row and administrative segregation and major disciplinary pre-hearing procedures. So that's it for that one. So stay out of trouble, stay out of prison. Like, share, subscribe, and watch the videos and comment. Thank you very much for watching.